What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Thursday, July 4th. Wednesday was a big one for us, guys. We went 5-1 overall. We started things off hot there with a win in that Boston-Miami over. That looked pretty good. It got a little rough there at times. Couldn't get a lot of offense going early in the game, but late in the game, we got enough runs out of Boston to cover that small number. Cleveland minus 175. That was our only loss of the day. They couldn't get anything going against the White Sox, and they also gave up a bunch of runs against the Chicago White Sox team that's terrible in offense, but the rest of it was a sweep, guys. We had the Astros minus 105. They got an easy win there against Toronto. We saw the Phillies come through in a pretty close game there. We had them minus 126. That was another win. The Brewers shut out the Rockies to get the win in that one, so put that one on the board as well. And we finished things off with a very easy overplay on that Arizona against the Dodgers game. Over 8.5 or over 9, whichever one you got is looking good as gold to me. So 5-1 on the day. We'll definitely take that. Let's keep things rolling here with a crazy 4th of July slate. But before we get into the games, guys, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we're putting in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Mets come into this game fresh off of a 7-5 loss there in game 3 of this series, so they're now up 2-1 here against the Nationals. The Mets are 42-42 in the year. Obviously, they've been playing better lately. That 7-5 loss, though, was not great. They're handing the ball in this game to Jose Quintana, who's 3-5 this season with a 4.57 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty mediocre start. I mean, he didn't last very long out there against the Astros. He went 4 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. He struck out 7 and walked 3, so just not his best effort. And anytime you only go 4 innings into a game as a starter, really not your best stuff. His start before that against the Cubs was good. Start before that against the Padres was good. So not exactly somebody we have a ton of questions about. We also don't have a ton of questions about this Mets bullpen. I mean, they've been trending in a positive direction now for a little while here, but they're just not one of the best bullpens in baseball, guys. 21st in the majors overall with a 4.17 bullpen ERA is not great. The offense has been looking much better lately, though, guys. They've scored 5, 7, 9, and 5 runs respectively over their last 4 games, so nothing too wrong with that. They're 8th in the majors in runs scored, 9th in the majors in team batting average, so all of those numbers seem pretty reasonable to me. I mean, they're a top 6 on base percentage team. Like, this is a squad that's been able to put up some runs, but the question is, will they be able to put up some runs here against the Nationals in game 4 of this series? The Nationals come into this game at 40-46 on the year. They needed that win there in game 3 to snap a 3-game losing streak. They're handing the ball to Jake Irvin, who comes into this game 6-6 on the season with a 3.03 ERA. Not amazing, not terrible. I mean, closer to amazing than terrible, I would definitely say, though. The last 2 starts have actually been amazing. 4 out of his last starts have been top tier, guys. At the Rays, he went 6 innings, gave only a single earned run. At Colorado, 6 innings, only a single earned run, and struck out 10. Against Arizona, he was at home in that game. He only lasted 5 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs, so that wasn't a great one. But before that, he gave up only a single earned run at Detroit, and before that, 0 runs in a 6-inning shutout appearance against the Atlanta Braves. So, in general, Jake Irvin looking like an absolute monster out there. The Washington Nationals bullpen, maybe not amazing. They're right there around league average, but definitely better over the course of the season than the Mets bullpen, so that's something to take at least slightly into consideration. The Nationals bats have come alive a little bit. I mean, they scored 7 runs here in this last game of this series, but they've scored 7, 2, and 7 runs respectively over their last 3, so not terrible for an offense that's generally speaking struggled this season. I mean, they're 21st in the majors in runs scored and 21st in the majors in team batting average, batting .235 as a squad. They're 304 on base percentage, has them 24th in the majors. CJ Abrams has been a monster, kind of. I mean, a 283 batting average and 13 home runs is fine. Not exactly, I'm not going to freak out about that. And he's not a guy that can just solo carry this offense. The Nationals, they're going to need to string some things together if they're going to, head anywhere important this season. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Mets at minus 108. We see the Nationals at minus 105. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. We see the Mets are an MLB best on the road to the over, guys. They're 24-10-3 to the over this season when playing on the road, so that's pretty solid. They're also an above 500 team on the road, which is, fine. 20-17 on the road is good. Washington is 18-21 at home. They're an under team at home, so maybe not super interested in the over-under in this game, guys, but I do lean towards the Nationals minus 105 to get another win in this game. It's very hard to see. Not interested in the over-under like I was saying, but yeah, I lean slightly towards Jake Irvin, the Nationals at home, but this is kind of a tough spot. I'm not going to be on this game in a meaningful way. Next on the docket, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cardinals come into this game fresh off of a 5-4 loss there in Game 2 of this series. Yeah, they lost that one very, very late. Not exactly what they were looking for in that game. They're 44-41 on the year, though. They're second in the NL Central, but that's not saying too much. Handing the ball in this one to Andre Palante, who is looking pretty good recently, guys. He's coming off of a shutout performance against the Cincinnati Reds. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 4 hits and no runs while striking out 5 and walking 3. A little bit of a bounce back after a struggle of a start against the San Francisco Giants, but before that he looked very good against the Cubs, before that very good against the Rockies, and just in general this very young guy has been looking pretty solid out there. Obviously you're going to have some consistency problems with a young guy on the mound, but in general not a lot of bad things to say about how he's throwing the ball. The Cardinals bullpen is also continuing to show signs of improvement, guys. They're up to 12th in the majors with a 3.89 bullpen ERA, so much better than the bullpen that was letting a lot of games slip away from this team. But the issue for this team all season long has been the offense, guys. I mean, they have been looking better lately. They've scored 4, 7, 2, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 26th in the majors, though, in runs scored, 17th in team batting average, batting .240 as a squad. That's a number that's been trending up, but 19th in on-base percentage, 19th in slugging percentage, just not a crazy talented offensive squad at this time. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Pirates, who come into this game fresh off of that 5-4 win. They've won 2 out of their last 3 overall. They're 41-44 on the season, handing the ball to Martin Perez, who is 1-4 with a 5.28 ERA. He's coming off a bad start there at Atlanta. He only lasted 4 innings. He gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs. So not exactly his best stuff in his first game back off the IL. Obviously, we can cut him a little bit of slack there, but maybe not a ton because they're going to need him to be good, and they're going to need him to be good very quick. The Pirates bullpen comes into this game right around MLB average. Nothing too special about them. Not really trending in any specific direction, just kind of, puttering around there at about league average. And the offense, while they are coming off a game where they scored 5 runs, not a great offense, guys. They've scored 5, 4, 4, and 1 run respectively over their last few games. Yeah, I mean, Brian Reynolds had that cool winning streak. We did see O'Neal Cruz hit that, get that walk-off hit for the Pirates, but yeah, I don't know. It's just not an offense that I'm super sold on. 25th in the majors in runs scored, 26th in the majors in team batting average, 28th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, I've just got some questions about how many runs this team can put up against pretty much any starter, and the Cardinals starters looked pretty good recently, so gonna have to take that into account for sure. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Cardinals at -118, the Pirates at +104. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. In general, in this one, guys, I tend to lean towards the Cardinals, but it's only a small lean. I don't have that much faith in Palante to really, go out there and shut down the Pirates. He's a young guy. Inconsistency is definitely a thing. What do we really expect out of Perez on the mound for the Pirates? Also nothing amazing. So in general, looking at the Cardinals being 20-23 on the road, not super helpful. The Pittsburgh being 20-21 at home, also not super helpful. Both these teams are showing very slight trends towards the under. Not interested in that either. So if you're forcing me to bet this game, give me the Cardinals as a small lean, but in general, this is a stay away spot for me. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Reds come into this game fresh off of a 3-2 win. They've won each of the first 2 games of this series. Both of them were 1-run games, and both of them went the Reds' way. The Reds are handing the ball in this game to Frankie Montas, who's 3-6 this season with a 4.23 ERA. He's coming off of, I would say, back-to-back very good starts. Against the Red Sox, he went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 earned runs. And then his last time out, it was at St. Louis. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, only a single earned run. Both of those games were 1-run losses for the Reds. So not exactly his fault in those. Honestly, probably his last 3 starts have been decent. He's definitely had his struggles over the course of the season, though. So we'll see if he can continue this positive trend. We'll also see if the Reds bullpen can continue to look so good, guys. They're up to 11th in the majors with a 3.84 bullpen ERA. So bullpen definitely looking very solid for Cincinnati. And I'm not going to exactly say the offense is coming alive. I mean, they've scored 8 runs over 2 games. That's not like crazy pants numbers or anything like that, but they're looking better than they have at other points this season, that is for sure. This team is 16th in the majors in runs scored, but that number is very skewed. They're 24th in team batting average, batting .228 as a team, 23rd in on-base percentage, getting on base at a .304 clip. Not an elite offense necessarily, but they're putting some things together right now, so we'll give them a little bit of credit. They're going to have to keep putting things together here going up against the Yankees, who having a hard time lately. They're 54-34 on the season, so that's fine, but they have lost their last 2 in a row and 3 of their last 4. They're handing the ball in this game to Marcus Stroman, who's 7-3 this season with a 3.29 ERA. He's coming off of a tumultuous, but, a good start, I guess, against the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, he went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts, so that's not great stuff, but he was going up against Toronto, Atlanta, and Boston, so, the Reds not exactly on that level hitting the ball, but we'll have to see what he can do out here. This Reds team has definitely been putting things together lately. The Yankees bullpen is down to 5th in the majors with a 3.54 bullpen ERA, so maybe not the hottest this bullpen has been at some point. Most points this season they were the best bullpen in the MLB, so we're a little bit worried about the bullpen, maybe not a ton though. And looking at the Yankees offense, that's been the real problem lately, guys. They've scored 2 and 4 runs respectively over their last couple of games. Definitely missing Stanton and Rizzo. That's been a big problem. In general, guys, things just not looking that hot. I mean, leaning very heavily on Aaron Judge to kind of carry this offense, and he grounded into a tough double play there. Just things did not work out for the Yankees at the plate there in Game 2. They're taking on a much different starter in this game, though, so we'll see if they're able to put things back together. But looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Reds at plus 150. We see the Yankees at minus 170. We've got an over-under of 9 out there. Cincinnati is 21 and 22 on the road. The Yankees are a solid home team, but maybe not that solid, as banged up as they are. We see that Cincinnati is a pretty solid under team when playing on the road, so under 9 definitely seems like it's in play for me with the Yankees not looking so good at home. I do think Stroman will have some decent success against a struggling Reds offense, and I think Montas is throwing the ball much better lately, so don't really know which way this game is going to go. I tend to think the Yankees minus 170, they might win this game, but not a very appealing price, so just give me under 9 in this one as a very small lean. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Astros coming to this game fresh off of a solid 9-2 win there for us in Game 3 of this series. Going into Game 4, the Astros are up 2-1. They're 44 and 42 on the season, down to a 2.5 game deficit there behind the Seattle Mariners for the top spot in the AL West. The Astros are handing the ball in this one to Framber Valdez, who's 6-5 this season with a 4.11 ERA, coming off a pretty bad start there at the Mets, guys, which lots of people have been having a tough time against the Mets lately, but man, he did not look good out there. 4 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs, only 3 of them were earned, but still not a very solid outing. It was a game we saw the Astros bats end up winning it for him 9-6, so they'll definitely take that. Game before that, though, back on the 23rd, he was great against the Baltimore Orioles. So, Valdez looking decent out there. The Astros bullpen definitely trending in a positive direction. They're up to 17th in the majors with an ERA right there at 4. So better things than we've seen from that bullpen at other points of the season, guys. They were one of the lower tier bullpens in the MLB there for quite some time at the beginning of the season. The Astros bats are also coming alive, guys. They've scored 9, 6, 3, 10, and 9 runs respectively over their last few games. Big positive stuff there, and they've been due for some, this has been a great batting average, great on-base percentage, and great slugging percentage team, and they were just struggling to actually get runs across the plate. It just makes sense now that they're putting everything together and putting up some big crooked numbers. They're up to 11th in the majors in runs scored, and this is an offense that I expect to continue to generate runs. And they're taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, who come into this game fresh off that loss. They've lost 3 of their last 4. They're 39 and 47 on the year. A team that I think it's very likely will be sellers here once the trade deadline rolls around. They're hitting the ball in this one to Chris Bassett. He's 7-6 this season with a 3.24 ERA. He's been much better recently. He had some early season struggles, but he's really turned it on and looked very, very good at over at least his last 5 starts. I mean, his last time out was against the Yankees. He went 6 innings, gave 6 hits and 1 run. It wasn't even an earned run, though. He struck out 8 and walked 2 in that outing. He, I guess he had some small struggles in his 2 starts before that against the Red Sox, but in general, he has looked very good lately. Really no major notes for me about him. He's throwing the ball pretty well. The problem for the Toronto pitching staff is their bullpen, guys. The bullpen is straight up not very good, and also, I know it's a long time ago, guys, but very, very, very early in the season, back in April, the beginning of April even, we saw Houston really knock around Bassett. So, I mean, there's a little bit of history there. I don't know how much we can really take that into account since it was so long ago, but still some minor concerns for me about that. Big concerns about the Toronto bullpen. It is just not very good, and definitely some concerns about this offense. They've been one of the lower rated offenses in the majors this season. 23rd in runs scored, 22nd in team batting average, batting .235 as a squad, 21st in team slugging percentage. Over their last few games, they've scored 2, 7, 1, and 1 run respectively. Not swinging the hottest bats. So, look at the numbers for this game, guys. We see the Astros at minus 118. We see the Blue Jays at plus 102. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We are a little bit concerned because Houston hasn't been a great road team over the course of the season, but Toronto hasn't been a great home team, and yeah, just in general, guys, definitely looking at the Houston Astros minus 118. for sure has a shot to end up in the pinned comment there. Looking at the over-under for this game, it's at 8.5. We see Houston is a big under team when playing on the road. Toronto is an over team at home, so we're not too interested in that. Go ahead and give me the Astros minus 118 in this game with a definite chance to end up in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Boston Red Sox going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. The Red Sox come into this game fresh off of a third straight win. They that offensive outburst for them there at the end of the game helped us cash that over, but if you also took Boston just to win the game straight up, you got the win on that one as well. The Red Sox are 46-39 this season, handing the ball in this game to Nick Pivetta, who's 4-5 this year with a 4.52 ERA, coming off a pretty weak showing there against the Padres. He went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs, and honestly, both of his last 2 starts have not really impressed me, and it's been a lot due to the Red Sox bats that they are 4-1 over his last 5 starts. So, we'll give him some credit, but his recent success, if we can call it success, has not really been his fault. The Red Sox bullpen has been very good this season. In general, they're easily top 10 with a 3.58 bullpen ERA. So that's something to feel positive about for sure. And looking at the hitters right now, things are really stacking up. They've scored 7, 8, and 4 runs respectively over their last 3 games. That will definitely work. No major notes for me on their offense. I mean, they're 13th in the majors in runs scored, but 7th in team batting average, batting .254 as a squad. They're 7th in on-base percentage, getting on base at a .322 clip, and they're also a top 10 slugging percentage team. Like, this is a squad that can definitely hit the ball, so they're hoping they can keep things rolling here, going up against the Marlins, who come into this game losers of their last 3 in a row. They're 30-56 on the season, so not a ton of positives to report. They're handing the ball in this game to Kyle Tyler, who's going to be making his 4th appearance of the season overall. It's his 3rd start. His last start, guys, was at the Phillies. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits and only a single earned run, so not a bad outing. It was a game we saw the Marlins lose 2-0, but in general, guys, we're a little bit worried about his ability to go deep into the game, because if you don't go deep into the game as a Marlins starting pitcher, that means we're going to see the Marlins bullpen, and that is not something you want to see if you were trying to generate wins for the Miami Marlins, because this has been one of the worst bullpens in the MLB all season long. So if they're out there, you always have a chance to win the game as the opposing team, or to hit that over, because they are very bad at shutting down opposing offenses, and the Miami bats have not been great lately, guys. They've only scored 2, 3, and 6 runs respectively over their last 3 games, so putting something up on the board, but not a ton. They're 29th in the majors in runs scored and 29th in team slugging percentage. They're actually the worst team in the MLB when it comes to on-base percentage, so definitely plenty of concerns for this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Red Sox at minus 162. We see the Marlins at plus 148. We've got an over-under of only 8 in this game. Boston is 26-16 on the road, so if you wanted to take a look at Boston just to win this game at minus 162, that definitely makes some sense to me. The Marlins are only 16-29 at home, so a pretty terrible home team for sure. But the trends that we're really interested in this one, once again, guys, we may end up running this back, because Boston 22-18-2 to the over when playing on the road, and Miami is an MLB best 31-13-1 to the over when playing at home, and we have an over-under of only 8 in this game. Guys, it's very likely that the over 8 is going to end up in the pinned comment once again. I don't think Pivetta really has the stuff to completely shut down the Miami offense. I think they're going to score 2 or 3 runs for sure, and while I do think Kyle Tyler might have a good outing, I think he's only going to be out there like 4, maybe 5 innings at the most, and then we're going to see that terrible Marlins bullpen. So go ahead and give me over 8 again in this game. Very, very likely to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The White Sox come into this game fresh off of an 8-2 win there over Cleveland. So you guys in the comments saying that the White Sox were going to win this game, you are absolutely right. Shout out to you. The White Sox are only 25-63 in the season, though. Hitting the ball in this one to Jared Schuster. He is coming out of the bullpen, guys, looking like a bullpen kind of start there for the White Sox, who have been one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball this season. They're 24th in the majors overall with a 4.53 bullpen ERA. So that's pretty bad stuff. The last time we saw Schuster out there, I mean, he only went a third of an inning against the Rockies. Before that, he went 3 innings against the Atlanta Braves and didn't give up any runs. So, some decent stuff there, but this bullpen in general, cobbling together an entire, 9 innings seems a bit sketchy to me. And this White Sox offense, while they've looked a little bit better lately, scoring 8, 6, 4, 11, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games, one of the worst offenses in Major League Baseball. Actually, the worst, guys. There's really no way around that. They're dead last in runs scored and dead last in slugging percentage. They're only batting .220 as a team. They're only getting on base at a .281 clip. This is just a pretty bad offensive team. but they're swinging some better bats lately, so maybe we can give them a little bit of credit, a little bit of a chance in this game, except for the fact they're doing that bullpen start. That seems a bit sketch, but they're going up against the Cleveland Guardians, who come into this game fresh off that embarrassing 8-2 loss. They only won 7-6 in game 1 of this series, so not exactly killing it right now. The Guardians are 53-31 on the year, though, so that's pretty good, and they're handing the ball in this game to Ben Lively, who's 7-4 this season with a 3.03 ERA, coming off a very good start there at the Kansas City Royals. Not the easiest place to pitch. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs while striking out 5 and walking 1. Very, very good stuff from Ben Lively out there. No major complaints from me about him. The last time he faced the White Sox, though, guys, a little bit of trouble. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 8 hits and 3 earned runs in a game we eventually saw Cleveland lose 3-2. So some questions, some problems definitely there for Ben Lively in this specific matchup. And in general, guys, we don't feel too bad about the Guardians bullpen. Obviously, I mean, not that they're coming off a great outing, but they are 8th in the majors over the course of the season with a 3.68 bullpen ERA. So not a bullpen we expect to struggle for a prolonged amount of time. The offense, though, is starting to give us a little bit of question marks here. I mean, they scored 2, 7, 2, and 7 runs respectively over their last few games. So by that logic, by that math, they're up for another, solid game, but things just haven't looked amazing for them lately. They're 6th in the majors in runs scored, 11th in the majors in on-base percentage. They do depend a lot on Jose Ramirez to kind of carry them, but in general, this is an offense that I have no faith in. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the White Sox at plus 188. We see the Guardians at minus 218. We see an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The White Sox are only 9-34 on the road. That's an MLB worst road record. We see Cleveland is 27-10 at home. That's an MLB best home record. So in general, guys, I am leaning towards the Guardians. Not a huge lean. Not a game I'm gonna be betting myself for sure. We see both these teams showing trends towards over 8.5. That's gonna be my main lean in this game. Cleveland is 21-13-3 to the over at home. We see the White Sox are 23-19-1 to the over on the road, and they're gonna be using their bullpen for this entire start. Guys, I think we see the Guardians offense get right, and I think we see plenty of runs in this game. Give me over 8.5. We also have the added benefit of Lively having a little bit of trouble against the White Sox earlier this season, so maybe they can put up 2 or 3 runs, and I think that easily gets us to the 9 runs we'll need. Next up, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Tigers come into this game 39-47 on the year, fresh off a 9-2 win there at Minnesota in Game 2 of this series. They're handing the ball to Kenta Maeda. He is 2-4 this year with a 5.76 ERA, coming off of a decent start there at the Angels. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. Gave up a home run in that game, struck out 4 and walked 1. Yeah, I mean, things haven't looked amazing for him lately, but they haven't looked terrible. Definitely not bad enough that you would expect that the Tigers would be 0-5 over his last 5 starts. Pretty disappointing stuff. He did not look good against the White Sox. Didn't look great against the Astros, but in general, guys, he's been throwing the ball well enough that this team should be having some chances to win. They are just not looking great right now, guys. The Tigers bullpen not having a ton of trouble. I mean, 13th in the majors with a 3.91 bullpen ERA. Not amazing, but not terrible. This offense has been a concern. I mean, they are coming off a game where they scored 9 runs, and they've scored 9, 3, and 7 runs respectively over their last 3, but over the course of this season, not the best offensive team, guys. 22nd in the majors in runs scored, 27th in the majors in terms of on-base percentage. They're only hitting .227 as a squad, like just not an offense that really gets me too excited, and they're going to have to score some runs here going up against the Minnesota Twins, who do come into this game fresh off that 9-2 loss, but they are 48-38 on the season, and they're handing the ball in this game to Bailey Ober, who's 7-4 this year with a 4.30 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there. It was against Seattle Mariners, so, not exactly the best hitting team, but over his last 3 starts, guys, he's looked very, very good. They were starts against Oakland and Seattle, so, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, but in general this season he hasn't been bad, and he's throwing the ball pretty well right now, so definitely have to give him some credit. The Twins bullpen, maybe a slight trend in a positive direction, but they're clearly a bottom third bullpen, guys. A 4.13 bullpen ERA is not great, and they're not coming off the best game ever either, so we have some question marks about them. What we don't have a ton of question marks about is this offense, guys. They're top 10 in the majors in runs scored. They're 4th in the majors in slugging percentage. They've scored 2, 5, 5, 5, and 2 runs respectively over their last several games, and that spans a series against Seattle Mariners, which are a very good pitching staff. So in general, we can feel pretty decent about this offense. Obviously, Lewis ending up on the 10-day IL with his abductor injury is not amazing, but regardless, guys, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Twins at minus 190. We see the Tigers at plus 166. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. A little bit of a tough spot with that very, very expensive price there on the Twins, but I do think they win this game the vast majority of the time, and I think there's a decent chance they put up enough offense to win this game minus 1.5. If you're very interested in this one, I do think minus 1.5 is in play, but probably not a game that's going to make it into the pin comment. If you take a -1.5, you can get him at +115, which is an appealing price, so that's going to be my lean in this one, but in general, this is a stay away spot for me. Next up, guys, we're going to look at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of a solid 5-3 win there in Game 2 of this series. They now won 3 in a row. They're 57-29 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Christopher Sanchez, who's 6-3 this year with a 2.41 ERA. He's been dealing out there lately. He's given up a grand total of 1 earned run over his last 3 starts combined. A little bit of a red flag, though. He is coming off of a complete game start there against the Marlins. He went 9 innings, gave up 3 hits, and struck out 9. But when guys go on crazy long starts like that, it gives me a little bit concern for them in their next start. So we're a little bit worried about that. Not too worried about this Phillies bullpen that's been looking very, very good recently. They're first in the majors with a 3.09 bullpen ERA. So one of the better bullpens in Major League Baseball, absolutely no doubt about it. They're going to be leaning on their offense to put up some runs. And guys, we are still going to see them here without Bryce Harper and without Kyle Schwarber. So, that's not great. We don't know when they're going to be back for sure, but the earliest they could be back is still not yet. So they're going to be missing a big chunk here of their offense, which is obviously a problem, but they have managed to cobble together 6 and 5 runs respectively over their last couple of games here. So they're doing what they can to keep things afloat. They're taking on the Chicago Cubs in this game, who have now lost 3 in a row. They're in the cellar there in the NL Central. They're handing the ball in this game to Jameson Taillon, who's 4-4 this season with a 3.03 ERA. He's coming off of a kind of mediocre start there at the Milwaukee Brewers. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 4 hits. He gave a home run in that outing. So, I mean, not a horrible start, but given that level that he's been at the majority of the season, that is not his best stuff. So do we see something of a bounce back from him in this game? I definitely think it's possible. I mean, the Phillies are for sure not at full strength right now, and while he hasn't faced them this year, he has had decent success this season against, some pretty solid hitting teams. So we'll definitely be giving him a look in this game. We're a little bit worried about that Cubs bullpen. I mean, they don't seem to get too much better. They don't seem to get too much worse. They're sitting there right at MLB average with a 4.00 bullpen ERA. So they'll definitely take that, I suppose, not that they have much choice. The offense has not looked good lately, guys. They've scored 3, 4, and 1 run respectively over their last 3 games. Yeah, just not great, guys. 19th in the majors in runs scored, 25th, batting .227 as a team. That's not great, guys. That is not great. They're also 25th in slugging percentage, so not great power numbers out there. They're kind of leaning on Cody Bellinger to carry the load, but I don't really think that's in his wheelhouse. So a bit concerned about this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Phillies at -126. We see the Cubs at +115. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. The Phillies are 22-15 on the road. Chicago is 22-19 at home. So that right there kind of makes me lean towards the Phillies. In terms of over-under, we do see both of these teams are under teams, but it's extremely, extremely small trends. And with an over-under of only 7.5, I don't really know which way to go on that one. I would tend to look towards the over, if anything. But in general in this game, guys, I guess I'm going to go ahead and lean towards the Cubs +115 to, take advantage of the Phillies maybe having a little bit of a weak start here from Sanchez, who might be a bit tired after that complete game start. So we'll just have to wait and see what things look like on this game. But in general, I'm going to stay away from this one. Just too many unknowns for me. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Padres come into this game fresh off of a 6-4 win there in Game 2 of this series. They're 47-43 on the year, so not exactly the season they had imagined, but, they're figuring things out. They're handing the ball to Michael King in this game, who's 6-5 this year with a 3.61 ERA, coming off a very good start there at Fenway. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits on only a single earned run. A solid bounce back after a very mediocre start there against the Brewers. We do see that the Padres are 3-2 over his last 5 starts, so that's fine. But yeah, I mean, he had a good outing against the Phillies, I suppose. Not a great outing there against the Brewers, so we'll see what he can do here against the Texas Rangers. Not exactly a team that's been, hitting the cover off the ball maybe not this season, but definitely not recently. The Padres bullpen this year hasn't been as big of a problem as, it hasn't been as big of a problem lately as it's been early in the season. They're 18th in the majors with a 4.08 bullpen ERA, so not exactly a pen that you can trust to come in and shut things down. And looking at the offense, they've scored 6, 0, 1, and 11 runs over their last few games. So yeah, a little 2-game skid there with the offense combined to score 1 run over 2 games. But, maybe they're a decent offense. It's kind of hard to tell. They're obviously missing Tatis. Once he gets back, that will definitely help, but not really sure when that's going to happen. I mean, he was out of the lineup there for that game against Milwaukee, and he's on the 10-day IL. That was 9 days ago. So I think technically this would be the first day that he'd come back, or maybe it's tomorrow. But in general, we're going to have to wait and see on news about him, news about whether or not he's going to be out there for for this game, and they're going to need him to score some runs here and just the offense in general to put together some runs against the Texas Rangers. They're 39-47 on the year, coming off of that 6-4 loss. They're handing the ball in this game to Max Scherzer, who's 1-1 this year with a 1.74 ERA. He's coming off a very reasonable start there at Baltimore, at Camden Yards, guys. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 4 hits. He did give up a home run, but he struck out 4. He looked pretty serviceable in that start, and he got things off to a very good start back on the 23rd where he dominated the Kansas City Royals. So Scherzer looks like he's right and ready to go here to start off his season. How deep do we trust him to go into games? I would say around 5, maybe 6 innings, and that's going to bring the Rangers bullpen into play, and not a great bullpen, guys. 19th in the majors with a 4.09 bullpen ERA. And how many runs can we trust the offense to put up? Well, we did see Seager back in there after a 2-game absence. They've scored 4, 7, and 11 runs respectively over their last 3 games. So swinging some relatively hot bats as an offense overall. They're 15th in the majors in runs scored this season, 18th in the majors in slugging percentage this year. But right now, like I said, they're swinging the bats pretty well. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Padres at +110. We see the Rangers at -124. We got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Padres are 21-21 on the road. Texas is 21-19 at home. We do see the Rangers are a massive 27-11-2 to the under at home. That's an MLB best under at home mark. Do we really like the under 8 in this game? Maybe if it was 8.5, I would like it, but maybe under in the first 5 innings, or a no-run first inning would be possible in this game. But I also think the Rangers -124 or the Rangers just to be winning after the first 5 is also very much in play. I don't think this is a game that's going to end up in the pinned comment necessarily because just some unknowns there. But I do think Scherzer is going to have a good outing. The question for me is whether or not the Rangers bullpen can hold things down. So we'll have to think about this one. It's got an outside shot to end up in there with Scherzer on the mound. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Angels come to this game fresh off of a 5-0 loss there at Oakland. They've lost their last 3 in a row and the first 2 of the series. They're 36-49 on the year, handing the ball in this one to Roansy Contreras. He is, making his second start of the year. He just got out of the bullpen there. He was looking pretty good in the bullpen, but in his start against the A's, the last time he faced them was on the 26th. He went 3 innings, gave up 4 hits, and only a single earned run. So him starting a game definitely doesn't fill me with confidence here. And if he only makes a short start, that means we're going to see a heavy dose of the Angels bullpen, which is atrocious, guys. A 4.63 bullpen ERA is terrible, one of the worst in the majors. So not a lot of positive things to say about this pitching staff. Hitting the ball has not been going great either. I mean, they just got shut out there in the last game, so that's obviously a problem. They've scored 0, 5, and 6 runs respectively over their last 3 games, so just not having the best time lately. They haven't been a horrible offense over the course of the season, but definitely below average. Definitely going to need Mike Trout to come back and kind of save the day here at the end of the month, but I don't really know why they'd be rushing him back at all. They're 19th in the majors in runs scored, 18th in the majors in batting average, 22nd in on-base percentage. This is just a team that's not going anywhere fast, and they're taking on an opponent that's not going anywhere fast either, but they have won their last 2 in a row. We just saw Estes throw a 92-pitch shutout against the Angels, so pretty crazy stuff there. The Athletics are 32-56 on the year, handing the ball to J.P. Sears in this game. He's 4-7 this season with a 5.00 ERA, coming off of a decent start there at the Diamondbacks. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, and 3 earned runs. He struck out 6 and walked 1 in that game. He did give up a home run, though, so it wasn't necessarily a spotless appearance, but it was a big bounce back after, I would say, 2 very sketchy starts there against the Minnesota Twins. So he definitely needed it. We'll see what he can do tonight in terms of their bullpen, guys. The Oakland bullpen, not exactly a great one. 22nd in the majors, a 4.42 bullpen ERA is not great. And this offense, while they've been hitting the ball better over their last couple games, scoring a combined at 12 runs over these 2 games against the Angels, not great over the course of the season. 28th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in team batting average, batting .221 as a squad. They're only getting on base at a .292 clip. This is not a very good offense. And look at the numbers for this game. We see the Angels at +102. We see the A's at -115. Over-under of 8.5 in this game. Neither team showing very good trends really about anything. We've got mixed trends towards the over-under. Guys, if you're forcing me to bet this game, go ahead and give me the Oakland A's at home since they're taking on effectively the Angels bullpen. So Angels bullpen is terrible. So give me the A's in this one, but it is a very small lean. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. These 2 teams are actually playing right now. We see Baltimore up 4-1 there in the bottom of the 8th inning. So they're looking pretty decent to hang on and take the win there. That'll give them a 2-0 lead here in this series. And they've been playing really well lately, up to 54-31 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Corbin Burns, who's 9-3 this year with a 2.28 ERA, coming off of a little bit sketchy, but overall good outing against the Rangers. He went 7 innings, he gave up 9 hits, which is the sketchy part, but only a single earned run. He struck out 5 and walked 0, so pretty good stuff there. He hasn't issued a walk over his last couple of starts, and he's 4-1 over his last 5 starts. So not a lot of bad things to say about Corbin Burnes. Also not a lot of bad things to say about this Orioles bullpen that's third in the majors with a 3.40 bullpen ERA. And we all know this offense is one of the best in the majors, guys. They're top 2 in runs scored. They are 6th in the majors, batting .255 as a team. They've been in that top spot there in MLB in the slugging percentage department pretty much all season long. So this is definitely an offense that we trust to generate plenty of runs. And they're taking on one of the worst offenses in the majors in the Seattle Mariners. If they end up losing this game where they're down 4-1 in the bottom of the 8th, we will see them be on a 4-game skid. They're handing the ball to Bryce Miller in this game, who's 6-7 with a 3.88 ERA. He's coming off a good start there against the Twins. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, and 2 earned runs. So nothing too bad there. He looked pretty decent. The last time he faced Baltimore, though, it was at Camden Yards, and he straight up did not have a good time, guys. He went 5 1/3, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs, 5 runs overall, and he gave up a home run in that game. He only struck out 1 in that outing, just not a very good time against some very elite hitting. So are we going to see something similar from him in this game? I think it's definitely possible. The Seattle bullpen has been good this season. They're 6th in the majors with a 3.56 bullpen ERA, which is great, but all that doesn't really matter if your offense can't generate any runs, guys. This team is 27th in the majors in runs scored, dead last in team batting average, 25th in the majors in on-base percentage. Over the last few games, guys, I mean, they've scored 1 run here in the bottom of the 8th in their current game, and before that, they scored 0, 3, and 1 run respectively over their last few. Like, not a very good offense. Not a very good offense at all. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Orioles at -140, the Mariners at +130. Got an over-under of 7 in this game. Baltimore is 25-14 on the road. That's an MLB best road record. Seattle is 28-15 at home, which is obviously very, very respectable. We see that Baltimore is also the best over team on the road. Seattle's obviously a pretty big under team. The over-under in this game is 7.5. Not interested in that, but I am very interested in the Orioles -140. That's very, very, very likely to go in the pinned comment. I think they're going to manage to put up several runs here against Bryce Miller, and if you score 4 or 5 runs against Seattle, you are in a fantastic spot to win that game because that offense is not going to put up a lot, and I don't expect them to have a good time against Corbin Burnes. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a 3-1 loss there in Game 2 of this series. They're 42-45 on the year, not exactly having the time of their lives. They're handing the ball in this one to Logan Webb, who's 6-6 this season with a 3.12 ERA. He's coming off a good start there against the Dodgers. He went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 earned runs. Nothing wrong with that. He's looked pretty reasonable over his last 5 starts. He did have some struggles there at St. Louis. He gave up 9 hits over 6 innings there, but in general, guys, he's looked pretty good. He hasn't faced the Atlanta Braves this season, so no major trends to look at there. The Giants bullpen has been a big problem this season, though, sitting at 23rd in the majors with a 4.47 bullpen ERA is not great at all. So if the bullpen has to pitch a significant amount, that's going to be a little bit rough. And yeah, this offense, guys, over the last few games, they've looked pretty good, but in this series, I mean, only 2 games here against the Atlanta Braves, they haven't looked amazing. They've scored 1 and 5 runs respectively, so that's fine. They've scored 1, 5, 10, 7, and 5 runs respectively over their last several games. Not an offense to write home about, kind of an average one. I mean, 14th in the majors in runs scored. They are batting nearly .250 as a team, which is respectable, but not incredible power numbers. Pretty much just an average offense. And they're taking on the Atlanta Braves in this game, who come into this one fresh off that 3-1 win. They're 47-37 on the year. Not exactly, in cruise control mode, but they're handing the ball in this game to Charlie Morton, who's 5-4 this season with a 3.89 ERA. He's coming off a dominant start there against the Pirates. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs while striking out 7 and walking 1. Definitely a bounce back after a rough start there at the Yankees, but he's pitching at home again in this game, so he definitely has to feel pretty good about that. No major problem with him pitching at home, and he also hasn't faced the Giants yet this season, so no trends to look at there. But the Braves bullpen, definitely a bullpen you can count on, guys. 4th in the majors with a 3.47 bullpen ERA. Has to feel nice to be handing the ball to Charlie Morton and then to that bullpen. The offense has had its struggles lately, guys. They've only scored 3, 3, 2, and 2 runs respectively over their last few games. Ozuna is definitely struggling a little bit right now. They're 18th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in batting average. This is also a pretty average offense, so not one that I'm super duper high on. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Giants at +102. We see the Braves at -108. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. San Francisco, not a very good road team, guys. Only 17-25 on the road. We see the Braves are 27-15 at home. So that's definitely some trends there that we have to take into consideration. We see mixed trends towards the over-under. We see Atlanta is a big under team at home. We see the Giants are a big over team on the road. in general, guys, not interested in the over-under in this game. Definitely interested in the Atlanta Braves minus 108 there with Charlie Morton on the mound. I know having Logan Webb out there for the Giants could make this look a little bit scary, but how deep do we really trust him to go into this game? I would say, 6 innings, probably something like that if he never gets in trouble. And then you've got 3 innings to rack up some runs against that Giants bullpen. So go ahead and give me the Braves minus 108 in this one. Definite chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Brewers come into this game fresh off of a 3-0 win in Game 2 of this series. They dropped Game 1, but then they've won the next 2, and they're up to 52-35 in the year with a 7-game cushion there in the NL Central. They're hitting the ball to Tobias Myers in this game. He's 5-2 with a 3.26 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty decent start there against the Cubs. I mean, he did give up 3 earned runs and 7 hits over 6 innings to a not great hitting team, so maybe you could even look at this as a little bit of a bounce-back situation. His 4 starts before that were all dominantly good. Like, he only gave up 1, 0, 1, and 0 earned runs, respectively, over his last 4 starts. So pretty crazy stuff from him over the course of his last several outings, and pretty much great stuff from him over the course of this season. The Brewers bullpen also has not been bad, guys. They're 9th in the majors with a 3.70 bullpen ERA, so you can pretty much count on this bullpen once they come out there. And the offense has been a little bit sputtering, not looking incredible. I mean, they've scored 3, 4, and 7 runs, respectively, over their last 3 games. They're at Coors Field, so I would have kind of expected a little bit more offense from them in this one. They're 5th in the majors in runs scored, though. 4th in the majors, batting .258 as a squad. They are 2nd in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a .333 clip. Like, this is not a bad offensive team, guys. No doubt about it. I think they are poised for something of a breakout here, going up against the Colorado Rockies, who have now lost 2 in a row. They're 29-57 on the year, handing the ball in this game to Cal Quantrill, who is 6-6 this season with a 3.78 ERA. He comes into this game fresh off of, a pretty mediocre start there against the White Sox, guys. Not going to lie. 7 hits, 5 earned runs over 5 1/3 at the Chicago White Sox. Not great stuff. His 2 starts before that against Washington and the Dodgers also gave up at least 3 earned runs and at least 7 hits. So not a guy that's throwing the ball the greatest. I mean, he gave up 3 home runs in his last outing, for God's sake. Like, just not having a fantastic time now, and he has to go up against the Brewers. Not the easiest task. So they're probably going to see a decent helping there of the Colorado Rockies bullpen, and that is an absolute unmitigated disaster. So you get some at-bats against that bullpen, you better be scoring some runs. And looking at the Colorado Rockies offense, they're not carrying anything right now, guys. They've scored a grand total of 3 runs over their last 2 games. So once again, not looking too hot. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored. This is a below average MLB offense despite getting to play half their games at Coors Field. Do I really need to say more about that? Not a very good offensive team. And yeah, looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the Brewers at minus 145, the Rockies at plus 126. Got an over-under of 10.5 in this game, so a big over-under number. Milwaukee's only 24-22 on the road, so maybe not the best road record, but the Rockies are only 17-23 at home. Don't love that. We do see both teams showing slight trends towards the over, so if you want to take a look at over 10.5, I guess you could, but guys, I'm just going to be looking at the Brewers minus 145 with Tobias Myers out there. I think this is a very reasonable spot for them. It's a little bit expensive of a price, but I think this should be more like minus 175, so go ahead and give me the Brewers in this one. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. The Rays come into this game fresh off of a 4-2 loss there in Game 2 of the series. They're 43-43 on the year, handing the ball to Zach Eflin, who is 4-5 this season with a 3.92 ERA, coming off of a dazzling start there against the Washington Nationals, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, and no runs. He struck out 6 and walked 1. A very good start, albeit against a mediocre offensive team, but still not bad stuff out there at all. It's his best start over his last 5 for sure. In general this season, we haven't seen him go up against the Kansas City Royals, so no trends to look at there, but we do have to take a look at that Tampa Bay Rays bullpen, which has been one of the worst in the majors this season. So you can really only trust Eflin to go maybe 6 innings into this game, and then you're going to get to take some at-bats off that bullpen, which is never a bad thing, if you're the opposing team. The Rays offense, they've scored 2, 5, 5, and 1 run respectively over their last 4 games. Not an amazing offense. Kind of down there in the bottom third. I mean, they're 24th in the majors in runs scored, 20th in team batting average, 23rd in slugging percentage. So not an offense I've got a ton of faith in putting up some runs here in this game. We see the Royals, they got the 4-2 win there. Not playing their best ball this season. They're 48-40 on the season though, so take the good with the bad here. They're handing the ball to Alec Marsh, who's 6-5 this year with a 4.19 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against the Cleveland Guardians. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and only a single earned run. Decent bounce back after giving up 8 hits at the Texas Rangers. So seems like he's probably a little bit more comfortable pitching at home, and he is pitching at home in this one, where the Royals are a much better team. The Royals bullpen is also pretty solid, guys. They are sitting somewhere around 10th in the majors. Not as good as they looked early in the year. They had a stretch there where they were looking like an easily top 5 offense and an easily top 5 that bullpen. Doesn't seem like that was exactly reality. Might have been some, you know, some hot play there, but in generally looking good right now. And the offense, maybe not looking amazing, but not a complete disaster. I mean, they scored 4, 1, 6, and 2 runs respectively over their last 4 games. The game before that, they put up a 10 spot against Cleveland, so not an offense that I'm crazy worried about. They're 12th in the majors in runs scored, 14th in the majors in batting average. I do think this is above average offense, especially when they're playing at home. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Tampa Bay Rays at -130, the Royals at +114. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Royals are 30-17 at home. Tampa Bay is not a terrible road team. They're 20-17 on the road, but I'm definitely leaning towards Kansas City +114. Anytime you see a plus number out there for the Royals and they're playing at home, you definitely have to give that some consideration. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. The Diamondbacks come into this game. Well, they're currently playing right now. They're up 8-4 there in the end of the 6th inning. So, yeah, very easy win for us there on the over in that game. Will Arizona be able to hold on and win this one? I mean, it seems fairly likely. You would think. The Diamondbacks are 41-44 on the season. They're handing the ball to Zach Gallen in this game. He's 6-4 this season with a 2.83 ERA. His last start was a very, very good one back on the 29th against the Oakland A's. He went 6 innings, gave only a single hit while striking out 7 and walking 1 and giving up no runs. So we've seen pretty good stuff from him over his last several starts, no doubt about it. The problem is the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen is absolutely terrible, guys. One of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, down there in the bottom 5 for sure. So not very good stuff once Zach Gallen has to come out of this game. And the Diamondbacks offense does seem like it's come alive a bit lately, guys. They've scored 8 runs in their current game. They've scored 8, 5, 5, and 3 runs respectively over their last few. They are sitting at only 41-44 on the season though, so you know, take that with a grain of salt. They are a top 10 team in terms of runs scored and team batting average. So, you know, this offense, not bad. They can expect to put up some runs here going up against the Dodgers, who come into this game looking like it's going to be fresh off of a loss. So that's not ideal. They're handing the ball in this game to Landon Knack. He's 1-1 this season with a 2.08 ERA. His last start was a pretty decent one at San Francisco. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave only a single earned run while striking out 7. He did give up a home run in that game, so that's not great, but he hasn't given up more than 1 earned run over any of his last 4 starts, albeit only 3 of those starts are during, you know, very recent times. The 4th one was at Arizona, funnily enough, back on the 30th of April. So can't take too much from that one. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, and a single earned run in that outing. So, you know, maybe he has a decent chance here against the Diamondbacks, but we'll have to wait and see. The Dodgers bullpen is obviously one of the best in the majors, so give him some credit there. The offense has been sputtering maybe a little bit in their current game, scoring only 4 runs, but they've scored 4, 6, 4, and 14 runs respectively. Obviously, they miss Mookie Betts. Going to need to get him back in there, but with Ohtani out there and Hernandez, like, this is not a bad offense by any stretch. They're 3rd in the majors in runs scored and 5th in the majors in team batting average. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Diamondbacks at +124. We see the Dodgers at -135. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Arizona is 19-23 on the road. The Dodgers are 26-15 at home. We see the Dodgers showing some trends towards the over in this game. Arizona is an under team when playing on the road. Not too interested in this game in general, guys. I think give me a slight look at the Diamondbacks +124. I don't really know what to expect here from Knack. I also don't know what to expect from the Diamondbacks bullpen, so this game's probably going to be a pass from me, but, you know, in general, just maybe a small look there at Arizona. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.